The first rule to chick fight: we respect one another and then we hug afterwards. On Film Threat Reviews. I'm Malin Akerman. I'm with Zorianna Kit, and today we review Chick Fight. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on what you thought about Chick Fight below on our Film Thread YouTube channel. Okay, so when Anna Wyncomb is introduced to the underground all-female fight club in order to turn the mess of her life around, she discovers she's much more personally connected to the history of the club than she ever imagined. Directed by Paul Leyden, written by Joseph Downey, stars Malin Akerman, Bella Thorne, and Alec Baldwin. All right, it's got a bunch of other people in it: Fortune Feimster, Kevin Nash, Kevin Donnelly, Dominique Jackson. Okay, so Zorianna, what did you think of Chick Fight?
Oh, gosh. Well, on the bright side is I think we have our first contender for Razzies. Worst film of the year. Worst. This is a movie that gives men the opportunity to watch pretty women in their Lululemon outfits punch each other out, while all of us can pretend that this is supposed to be female empowerment, but it's written by a man, directed by a man, clearly shows that this really is not any type of female empowerment movie at all.
Let me just interject. When I was watching Chick Fight, throughout a lot of the movie, I don't research the movie beforehand, but I was thinking to myself, I bet this was written and directed by a man.
But what made you say that, though? What made you say that?
You know, to me, the female empowerment aspects of it just didn't feel right. It felt forced.
There wasn't any.
Well, I would say the attempts at it felt forced, and it didn't feel authentic. You know, I think you mentioned it. It feels like it's the man's perspective on female empowerment. And that's the thing that just really struck out to me, and kept thinking, this is a man's doing this. This is a man's film.
Well, there was so much. They always had the girls talk in this raunchy way, like in a way that we would see men talk in like Peter Farrelly comedies. And it's really just, it was not very realistic, and it felt like it was being done for shock value. And there was so much of this unrealistic language and sexual innuendo and vulgarity that it just felt like this script was written starring men, and someone just decided to switch the gender and go, oh, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if women behaved this way? And let's just put them in some cool yoga gear, skimpy yoga gear, and call it a female empowerment movie because they get to swear and have sex. That's what it felt like to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, to me, the other thing that that bothered me about the movie is how formulaic it is. Mm-hmm. You know, take the gender issue out of it. It's that story of, you know, a person whose life is a mess, who finds a fight club, becomes emboldened by it. You know, there's a big boss at the end of the movie that he or she has to fight. And then she finds a way of doing it. And then they bring in all these very formulaic aspects of it. Like, you know, there's a part where Alec Baldwin, who's the trainer of Malin Akerman, who is the main character, he gives her a weird piece of advice. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I bet this is the key to how she wins. I mean, this is kind of how predictable and formulaic this movie is. There's nothing really surprising about it. You know, it was just, I'm just guessing at everything, you know, guessing correctly about where this movie's going. And then you mentioned some of the dialogue. The jokes are just very jokey, very commenty. And, you know, that's also a version of comedy I'm not a big fan of.
Well, I also felt like Alec Baldwin just must have gotten a really good paycheck and did this movie for that, because I can't imagine someone of his caliber with his access to material would even want to partake in something like that.
Well, let me ask you this: where were all of Alec Baldwin's scenes shot?
On a beach or on a beach?
On a beach, in a really lush location.
So that was the impetus. Go on a location, make some dough.
Yeah, because he never appears anywhere else in the movie except, he doesn't even appear at the end of the movie where he says, "I just had to see you fight one last time."
Yeah, yeah, there was just, the plot itself too. Like, so you mean to tell me that her very best friend in the world works as a law enforcement officer, but on her off hours breaks every single law, such as smoking marijuana, which leads to the burning down of a restaurant, has a fight club, which, is being raided by authorities, but her cop friend is somehow running it. And then her best friend cop, who also is a lesbian on top of that, fails to tell her that in all their years of friendship that she has been running this fight club. The fight club was actually founded by Malin Akerman's mother. And her whole life, now that she's an adult, Malin Akerman has never known any of this information. I'd be pretty upset at my best friend for not telling me that information. That's a lot of information. So to have to be given that premise from the get-go and go with it, I don't know. I think I was kind of like not buying it instantly.
Yeah. Okay. So the one thing I liked about Chick Fight is Bella Thorne.
You did?
I loved her character. I loved her performance. I loved how they used her in this movie up until the end. But to me, every time she got on screen, it was like, this is such a better movie than when she wasn't on screen. Her performance is just great. And as a Disney actress, you do run in that temptation of just kind of writing her off, but she is particularly good in this movie.
Yeah, I didn't see what you did. I don't think
you're probably so upset at that point.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I was so upset that the fact that Bella Thorne is standing there telling Malin Akerman, "I'm going to own your club." Well, it's just like, isn't the easiest thing to do for Bella Thorne is to just start her own competing club? Like, why do you have to go where nobody wants you? Like, why do you have to overtake these owners? Just go start your own club. Again, I'm asked to buy into these concepts that are so preposterous that they just don't make any sense at all. And what I want to talk about too is I want to mention the directing. It was so rudimentary. Every fight scene in the fight cage was the same. Anytime there's a high kick or whatever, the camera goes slow motion, and then you see the punch and the blood leaving, and it was without fail. It was like, okay, here's a fight scene, here's a slow motion shot, and then we go back. Yeah. It never changed. It was just so predictable. There was nothing original or interesting about that. At least make the fight scenes interesting. And also you could tell so easily that they had stunt doubles with wigs doing everything. Like you couldn't hide that.
Yeah, I'll forgive that one because you understand the realities of Hollywood filmmaking. The other comment you made about why didn't Bella Thorne's character Olivia form her own club? Well, that story's already been done in Dodgeball. So so that would kind of, it's been done. So you really didn't like this movie. You had issues with the fact that the people behind the film were men, and well,
no, I don't listen. That doesn't sound good. I don't have issues with men or anything of that sort. This was not a woman's empowerment movie or a pro woman or a let's embrace women. This was a fantasy film made by a bunch of men, really.
Yeah. Well, decades ago, you could say, well, of course a man wrote and directed it. That's all that's available. But, today, 2020, there are plenty of women who can do this. You can even give women a shot at rewriting or directing. I don't think
the women directing superheroes now. Come on.
Yeah, that excuse, especially for a movie like this, is just
it
not.
Would have been a great opportunity for an up and coming female filmmaker to get her teeth wet with. Although, maybe they don't want to be part of something.
Yeah, maybe they were
so not representative of authentic females.
Yeah, or maybe they just were offended by the whole thing in the first place and just said, no, let the men take care of this one. Yeah. All right, so with all that, I'm gonna guess you gave it a 4.
I gave it a 2. I cannot recommend this movie. I would not recommend it at all. To me, although I joked about Razzies, I in all seriousness, this is a contender for the Razzies. To me, it was that bad, really that bad. So a 2. You liked it more than I did. You seem to be okay with buying into some of the fantasies or the preposterous ideas to it. I think you may have given it a 6.
Yeah, I gave it a 6. I'll say this, when you have to watch a movie, you have to buy into things fairly quickly, or you're gonna just drive yourself crazy.
I drove myself crazy, Alan. I drove myself crazy.
Yeah, and like I said, when Bella Thorne came on, I'm not gushing over her. To me, it's a really good performance, and so that kind of brightened up those scenes. But it's just predictable. I've seen it. Some bright spots. So I gave it a 6. Action. Yeah, there's action. Kind of good. All right. So there you go. A very mediocre to negative review for Chick Fight. So with that, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. If you saw it, love to know what you thought about it. And with that, let's get out of here.